It's NFL 365. With me is Mustafa Johnny. My name is Afolabi. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. So Joe Burrow made a statement in June, and I'm going to remind him of this statement. Joe Burrow said when he looks around in the locker room, he's seeing stuff that reminds him of 2019. This is when he was in college and won the national championship with LSU and had 5,000 yards passing and had 15 games winning, 0 games. That's a big claim. Joe Burrow is saying we have no excuse for losing this year. When I look in the locker room and I see who we've got on our team, I believe we can go all the way. That means he's basically saying they've got a all-world offense and all-world defense. Today we're going to look at that claim and see if he can hold weight. We know just how good Cincinnati is. They made it to the Super Bowl in 2021. I think that was his second year. He's an ice-cold quarterback, fantastic. In between that, he's had injuries, so they didn't do as well last year. But now he's back, he's healthy, and he's looking around, and he's saying that they have a team as good and as legendary as the LSU team. I hope he doesn't have to eat his words at the end of the year. But when I've looked at his team, I think half of the story is true. They've got a fantastic offense. The offense, a lot of the players on the team, he's been together for a long time. The running back, Chase Brown, he's been with Chase Brown since college. College was 2019. That means he's been with Chase Brown as far back as 7 years ago. That means the two of them and that's the running back, the two of them don't have to worry about cohesion together. He's had Jamar Chase and Higgins too for 2 or 3 years, 3 or 4 years actually. So what he does, the offense has no problem. They've had the same coach since they went to the Super Bowl. On defense, we'll get to their defense particularly. They've overhauled their defense and brought in a lot of talent and everything. But this goes back to what we were saying with the Cowboys. It's one thing to have world-class personnel on defense. It's another thing to have cohesion. And we're going to show why Cincinnati might be a Super Bowl contender, but it's going to be a little bit thorny for them, perhaps, if the cohesion on the defense isn't the way they need it to be. And we'll look into that. But let's first take a look at the offense. Offense with Joe Burrow, if he's healthy, this is the top 3 offense in scoring, no doubt. Burrow, we don't need to say anything. Burrow is one of the best people at analyzing the defense, breaking it down even before he snaps the ball, then being able to go through his receivers and choose whether he wants to go under, deep, after he surgically analyzed, and also he stays in the pocket patiently. Now, a big question is whether or not his offensive line can hold together. The offensive line is made up of left tackle Orlando Brown, left guard Dylan Fairchild, the center Karras, and the right guard Risner. Now, here's the key thing. They gave up a ton of sacks last year. I think it was 26 sacks, which is a lot. They're not protecting the quarterback. But the key thing is all 4 are healthy, and they're returning this year. So a lot of the sacks that they were giving up last year wasn't due to a lack of power or strength. It was communication. But now they're coming back second year, so they should be good. And they've got the veterans, Burrow, Jamar Chase, Higgins, and running back Chase Brown. Those guys, fantastic numbers regardless of the offensive line. So if you give Burrow time, they're going to eat you apart. I'm going to predict that Cincinnati is going to be a top 3 offense again in scoring, and they're going to be very hard to beat. And I see their whole offensive squad as being all world. So that's not the problem. What are your thoughts about the offense? Let's say another thing. Their receiver, Chase had 1,400 yards receiving and 11 touchdowns last year over 3 different quarterbacks. So what that means is that Burrow was hurt and he still had high numbers. And their running back, Brown, had 1,000 yards rushing, which means they have balance now. They can do the play action. And their running back, Chase Brown, can also release himself to catch passes instead of running. So it looks like they've got an all-world offense, guys who did well even when Burrow wasn't there. And now that he's healthy, and as far as I'm concerned, top 2 quarterbacks, maybe 3 in the league, the offense will have absolutely no problem. What are your thoughts, Afolabi?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, if you look at Burrow's comparison to, his Louisiana State University team, it makes a lot of sense. Their main strength is offensive. They have elite offensive players, and it feels that there's talent everywhere. They have enough high-level players that Cincinnati should feel that if they're matched with elite teams, they can hold their own. However, what the problem is here is the defense. Is not only good enough to have very good players defensively, like he mentioned, comparing them to his LSU team. game. You must have a defense that communicates, that understands each other's plays, and that is cohesive as a unit. And that's where the problem is. If you expect to go throughout the whole season with unbeaten, you are going to have to drill your defense to become a cohesive unit, not just having light offensive players. And basically, if you look at their offense, I mean, it's already settled. You mentioned Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. This is an elite core along with Joe Burrow. And if you look at the way they communicate and the characteristics of Burrow himself, his exceptional accuracy. I was watching the footage and you could see the way he was throwing. He consistently puts the ball where receivers can make plays rather than merely throwing catchable passes. So he has
while they're in motion.
And his ability to maneuver, and all of that. So the offense is solid. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and also with their receivers. Okay, so what they've got, especially with the running back too, the running back can act as a receiver and go as a release. Then they've got receivers who can go vertical. They've got a lot of the receivers can, like Higgins, can do two functions. They can go vertical or they can go intermediate routes. So that means they're able to cover a lot of different routes. And what Burrow is able to do is while the receivers are running, he has very good memory on how defensive schemes are. And if he sees a player is being covered, he knows how the player is going to unfold so that he can release to another player. So he's good at doing options and being patient. So that's going to be very important. But like you said, the defense is going to be an interesting. And here's the thing, on their defensive front, they have 3 new players. I will get into that afterwards. I want to go to Johnny. They have 3 new players. And when you have a defensive front of 3 new players, at that line, they have to be able to communicate to realize what gaps to close for the passing game, not for the running game especially, and also how to be able to communicate with the defensive tackles behind them. So it's not a question of, you can have 3 people who are strong. You can have the strongest and quick and everything. But since you got 3 new players in the defensive line, communication is going to be important. We're not going to question their ability. We believe that they have an all-pro, a good enough personnel to win the Super Bowl on defense, but we want to find out if having 4 new players, especially 3 of them being in their defensive front, is something that's going to, I'm not saying it's going to rule them out, but it's a challenge they're going to have to face if they want to say that they're as good as LSU. We're not saying, he's not just saying they'll win the Super Bowl. He's saying they'll steamroll through everybody and do the Super Bowl shuffle like the Chicago, remember the Chicago, the Chicago Bears in the 1980s, Mr. Johnny? He's saying they're going to be unbeatable like the Bulls or something. But we know what Burrow is doing is he's hyping up his team. So what are your thoughts, Mr. Johnny?
Yeah, I like that. Like, for sure, hyping up his team. Yeah. I mean, I guess, he feels he has become into that role where the kind of the quarterback that can win the championship
and he'll guarantee it and put pressure on himself. Yeah.
And he's I think over the years he's been building himself up to this stage where he feels very comfortable now. He knows where to put the balls. He doesn't buckle under pressure. He dictates the defense. As in not really.
Oh yeah, he's able to read the defense.
He can read the defense
like a surgeon.
So he knows what to do. And I think he feels that he's in the zone. So that's why, and I think the last time he felt that was when he was in LSU. That's why he's like, okay, I think I can make it this time around, and we can. Yeah. So we're gonna keep a good eye on him.
And that's good leadership because he's saying now we have no excuse other than execution. Yeah, and I think part of the execution is going to be the defense. So let me go back to their defense. They've got new guys. They've got Mafe, who's their defensive end. They've got Dexter Lawrence, who's going to be the leader of the front line, 3 times in the Pro Bowl. But he's new. Then they've got Jonathan Allen, who's also a defensive tackle. These are 3 new players, and all of them are great, but they're going to have to quickly fit into the system. The good thing is that Gold, who's their defensive coordinator, has been there for 2 years. So the problem is they have to learn a new system and fit in with each other. Fortunately for them, their defensive linemen, it would be a lot more problematic if they were linebackers or safeties, because linebackers and safeties have to read everything. The defensive linemen, most of their work is the power work. Like, in rugby, Mr. Johnny, the guy who do the scrum in the front, that's less technical than the other guys who are sitting back intermediately and looking at everything. But still, they're going to have to communicate with each other. Then the other guy that they have is Brian Cook, who's a safety. So he's going to be in the secondary to stop the people who are passing. That's not going to be as a big problem. But here's what I want to say. So you've got 3 new defensive linemen that haven't played together. And we know that in NFL, especially with defense, not offense. With defense, the defensive line, then the linebackers in the middle, and the pass protected guys form a chain, sort of like the chain in football where you have the spine. It's a spine, and there has to be perfect fluidity and communication through the 3 levels. But where the real problem, not the real problem, but the real challenge is going to be for the defensive tackles and the linemen to be in cohesion with the linebackers, especially for when the linebackers have to come in also to read the run rather than the pass, and they have to not get in each other's way. So that's the only thing. So we're not really hating. I'm not hating on Cincinnati. I do believe they could win the Super Bowl this year, but I'm just saying that Burrow is making these claims, but you have the right team and everything, but you have to emphasize that your offense may be cohesive, but there's going to be challenges on defense because you just overhauled your defense and you've got new guys in there, and it's going to be a challenge. But I actually think these guys can get in sync and do well. Whether it's well enough to win the Super Bowl, I'm not sure. But I'm a Cowboy fan, but I'm looking forward to Cincinnati. I like Joe Burrow. He looks like somebody who could be a sniper. He looks like Putin, the guy cold-blooded, man. I want to see that motherfucker win, man. What are your thoughts on Falabi?
Yeah, and he has elite qualities that, you know. And
the guy's big too, 6'5", strong arm. Yeah, go ahead.
He's a candidate for MVP. And like you rightly mentioned, the key thing in their defense is communication, assignment discipline, chemistry, trusting between your defensive line, linebackers, and the secondary. So when you have a talented secondary that can still give up plays, if the pass rush and coverage are not coordinated, then there's a problem. So they need to work as a unit. I mean, a good defensive line can be neutralized if the linebackers and the defensive backs aren't communicating properly. So they need to do this through drills. So basically, once the defense is sorted out, and with the elite talent that they have in the offense, I think they have a good shot at it, really.
I think you're supposed to be the coach for Cincinnati. Mr. Johnny, I follow me as professional. Last time, Johnny, before we get out of here. So next week we're going to do a more incisive look, because we didn't have time this week, at the dynamics of their defense. So this week we're just giving you sort of like the surface. On the surface, but we're going to go deeper and see what's been going on, because they're having training camp now, how the players are doing well, and what's our final prognosis for their defense. Any last thoughts, Johnny? Is Johnny there? Yeah.
I think Johnny has frozen, apparently.
Oh, he's frozen. Okay, he's frozen.
Same thing. That defense need to communicate.
Yeah, they got to communicate, man. But I have an issue. I don't think it's going to be too hard because it's the front line. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Is he breaking? Yeah. I think you're breaking out. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's about let that defense, let them get some better communication, like you said, and then let me get to know each other a bit better, and then I'm sure once they can get the defense better, then they might have a good chance of winning the team and the championship. And like I said,
most of the new players are on the front line, but the intermediate line, which is the linebackers, they've been there. So that's very good, because the linebackers are actually like the CDM in soccer. They're the ones who do the reading and control a lot of things, the Rodgers type players. So it's good for them, because I know the Cowboys have a new they don't have a new, but they have a linebacker who was injured last year and who's going to have to interface with the rest of the team. But I have a feeling that Cincinnati can win the AFC and go to the Super Bowl. All right, take us out, Afolabi.
Okay, it's been another brilliant NFL 365 show from Mustafa, Johnny, and myself. We'll be back again next week.
I'll delete it. Hey, Mr. Johnny, we are thieves, though. We're talking about this shit like